How's it going today, guys? It's Mask here, and today our topic is how to farm for Destiny board. Basically, how to farm using Bakura and get and unlock his skills the easiest way possible. So we've put together a pretty nice deck for this. We're gonna go ahead and check that out. Essentially, this looks like a pretty big, I don't know what's going on, cluster, which is why I made this deck cutout on the right side here to show you guys what the actual core of this deck is. Now, the skill certainly does not matter. You can have whatever skill you want in there, and that's the whole point of this. This is going to be a farming deck that does not require any specific skill. Now, the core of the deck is going to be Piranha Army, 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons, because this is going to be taking advantage of the fact that we have both a Glossy Blue Eyes and a Prismatic one. You have Fusion Gate, which is substitutable with Polymerization, obviously. 2 Riryokus, Gravity Axe, which can be any equip card that will buff Piranha by 500 or more attack. So it could be Gravity Axe, Flambears. I wouldn't suggest that one because of the discard. You have sort of the Deep Seated that you get from leveling up Pegasus. Anyhow, moving on, we have Abyssal Designator, which is part of our 2-card combo to get guaranteed low life and comeback victory. Abyssal Designator, of course, can be replaced by Hieroglyphic Lithograph or any other card that lowers your life points by 1,000. And we're using Mirror Wall in this setup. Mirror Wall is beautiful. You activate it, you get your extra bonus 100 points for activating a trap, as well as you simply, the point of it is you pay your taxes, and it lowers your life points by 2,000. Now, this deck, of course, one of the tiny little flaws in this setup is if you draw Mirror Wall as your last card, of course, you're not going to get to activate it and pay that 2,000 life points, but that's going to happen 1 in 20 games, and it doesn't actually affect your end game. Your end game, you're still going to hit for over 10k, and Mirror Wall will only cause you to fall slightly into the 7,000 points, still giving you 7 rewards. And actually, if you have enough Glossy and Prismatic cards, you could probably still hit 8k without having to rely on that activation. But the beauty of this deck here is quite simply this deck, as it says, skill not set. We do not need a skill to use this deck. You are going to basically be able to use this to farm as Bakura, this new character. He has no skills on him at the moment that's going to help us farm. So this is how we're going to use this deck, and we're going to farm all of his new skills, the skill drops we're going to have to get on him. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into that. Alright, now the legendary duelist of choice for using this deck for me is going to be level 30 Joey Wheeler. One of the big reasons is I have a ton of spare red keys lying around. There's been no really reliable ways of farming Joey at level 40 or Bandit Keith. We are going to be working on those for the future, but for now, this is going to be a great way to get some of Joey's card drops as well as spend some of those leftover keys. And of course, we're going to be able to farm for Bakura's new skills, those skill drops. So we'll go ahead and jump in here. Joey's deck is a great one to go up against. The big core concept of this deck is, of course, we have our important card drops up front, the ones that are going to be your actual end game. There's a 10-card core to this deck. We went over it already. Now you just basically fill the rest of the deck with 1,700 or more attack beaters. That's all you need, because the strongest card in Joey Wheeler's level 30 Joey Wheeler's deck is actually his fusion summon. He only has one of them, and it is only at 1,700 attack. So right off the bat, we draw into one of the 10 cards in this deck. So like the chances of you not drawing one of these 10 cards are extremely slim. And even if you don't, you're going to have a couple turns to try to draw into it, because he's not going to be able to one turn kill you. And yeah, essentially you just keep going. Every single turn, we're going to want to make sure we clear his side of the board. He does have shield and sword, which he will try to hit you with. Just so happens I had Mirror Wall up. Realistically, it wouldn't have been a big deal if we had lost Neo the Magic Swordsman there. We drew into Jerry Beans the next game anyhow. We were forced to play Mirror Wall, so we are going to activate the effect of it, because the whole reason it's in this deck is to make sure we pay the 2,000 life points. It's one card used to drop your life points by 2,000, and I do suggest holding on to Abyssal Designator though until later in the game. You don't want that to you don't want to drop too low, because one thing Joey can do is he's already done one of them, Shield and Sword, where he swaps your attack and defense. He does run 2 of them in his deck though, so especially with the Jerry Beans on the field, we do not want to run the risk of him Shield and Swording us, and he can hit you for up to 1700 if he gets the fusion out right into your monster. So we'll hold off on the Abyssal Designator play until literally the end of this game. Kaiser Seahorse is really nice in this deck because the whole point of it is we are, the second you have the ability to do so, going to tribute summon out one of either your Glossy or Prismatic Blue Eyes. It's an important part there. This deck setup, the core of this deck is going to get absolutely any person using this exact same card setup 7,800 points. You do need to get 200 points from Glossy or Prismatic cards to make this deck work. That being said, you have a Prismatic Blue Eyes, you have a Glossy Blue Eyes, and when you're putting in the beaters for this deck, simply prioritize any monster that you have at your arsenal with 1700 or more attack that is Glossy. My deck looks like such a collage of people right now, when normally to make things look nice and tidy, I definitely would have run monsters of the same caliber in sets of 3, but instead I've mix and matched them and put in the most Glossy and Prismatic cards I had available. Now this is my plain Blue Eyes, it's not my Glossy one or my Prismatic one, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it in my hand. Abyssal Designator, something we will activate on our last turn pretty much right away, so there's no problem in going ahead and setting that. So we'll keep going on here, just clearing all his cards. And like I said, the wonder of this deck is going to hit us into that tier of 8,000, where we're gonna get all 8 of our drops against a level 30 legendary duelist, which has significantly high skill drop rates. And yeah, this is going to be an extremely reliable method for both, to be honest with you, a secondary bonus of getting your cards that you want from Joy Wheeler, and we really want this blue. Want to pull one of our either Prismatic or Glossy Blue Eyes. So here we go. The reason we never activated Abyssal Designator. There's his second Shield and Sword. He runs 2 in the deck. You need to be aware of both at all times. This is nice. We do get to get a second Kaiser Seahorse out now. I gotta keep an eye on the remaining cards because we need to make sure we summon a Blue Eyes in time, ahead of time, to make sure we don't have to or get stuck with none on the field on our last turn. The nice thing about this deck is it does get the bonus for killing 10 or more monsters because there are no other he basically plays a monster every turn. You're guaranteed to kill at least 10 of them. And here we go. So we already have low life taken care of. There's a Glossy Blue Eyes. I'm not going to activate Kaiser Seahorse's effect because we need to clear up a board space. At all times we need to make sure we have a board space available. And keep in mind, like, Kaiser Seahorse is not needed for this deck. Literally, guys, just pack it full of monsters, 1700 or more attack. And that being said, if you do not have enough 1700 attack monsters to fill your deck, just drop into the 1650 tier. Honestly, you guys he has not managed to pull off his fusion summon against me this round, and that is the only reason you need a monster at 1700 attack. The 1650 tier that exists, that has your Guardian of the Throne Rooms, your High Tide Gojins in it, is perfect. That 1650 tier will carry you through this entire farm with the exception of one singular monster he will spawn. And I am sure you guys are going to have enough 1700s in the deck that you'll cycle through and have a 1700 there waiting for him anyway. So don't be scared to put the 1650 attack monsters in here. They're going to work just as well. So here we go. Before I get too crazy on this, summarize everything I've been doing for our final turn in this deck. You need to make sure you have summoned at least 1 Blue Eyes before you start your end turn, because you need to summon your Piranha. You're going to Roku one of the Blue Eyes onto your Piranha. Then we're going to fusion summon out Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. That's when we're going to use the second Roku on the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. And if you guys only have 1 Roku, you can use Spell Reclamation to replace the second Roku. If you don't have 1 Roku, you're kind of out of luck. That's something you really need to prioritize from the card trader. And then the last step here is simply equipping any equip card that you can equip to Piranha that will buff it by at least 500 attack. And yeah, this deck has absolutely no need for Secret Pass to the Treasures. You will always have a Blue Eyes Ultimate on the field in your last turn, and it is up to you to make sure you're attacking and clearing the board every turn along the way as well. So Blue Eyes Ultimate will always be able to clear the path for your Piranha. And there you go, that's the end of the farm. We're going to hit Joey for 10,000, or over 10,000 damage, which is perfect. And hey, if the RNG gods shine down upon us, we might even pull one of Bakura's new skills right here. But I definitely don't have my fingers crossed. I did get 700 points from Prismatic and Glossy. That's something to take note of. We have 8,500 points though, which means you only needed 200 of these Prismatic and or Glossy bonus points. If you guys simply prioritize putting in your 1,700 or more monsters that are Glossy or Prismatic, you'll have absolutely no problem pulling this off. But yeah, that is the farm. It is a absolutely no strings attached, skill-less farming deck that you can use on Bakura, and it's going to be your easiest, most efficient way to farm for his new drop skills. But yeah, guys, check it out, and good luck getting your drops on Bakura. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and of course, like I always say, come check us out on stream, guys. We're going to be live most weekdays for at least 4 to 6 hours a day. That's twitch.tv/MasKScarin. And before I forget, I also just want to give a big shout out to Tutpup and Purple Monkey Dentist from Twitch. I appreciate you guys' time. They hung out with me for a good 2 hours, kind of theory crafting, and helped me put a couple decks together for this. And yeah, don't forget, guys, stay classy.